We're on Wilbur Wright Road near Millville in Henry County on our way to see this pioneer aviator's birthplace. Next on Indiana Outdoors.
Come on, John, let's go. We've got stories to tell, stories to shoot. We got to get there. Hello and welcome to Indiana Outdoors. I'm Jill Ditmire.
And I'm Don Van Meter. Today we're in Henry County at the birthplace of one of the Wright brothers, Wilbur. His brother Orville was born in Ohio, so we don't talk about him too much.
But later on we'll go inside and take a look at the replica of the Wright Flyer. That's that made that historic flight from Kitty Hawk back in 1903.
And we'll show you more about the humble beginnings of Wilbur Wright after our first story.
A while back, Don took the Indiana Outdoors crew down to Bedford to get a look at that raw material that makes some of the country's most beautiful buildings, Indiana limestone.
For more than 100 years, chunks of southern Indiana have been shipped all over the continent. You are probably within walking distance of a library, a bank, a factory, a church, a house, or skyscraper built with Indiana limestone.
The area around Bloomington and Bedford is one of the few places in the United States where quality limestone is near enough to the surface of the ground to be economically quarried. That's just what we have here at the Elliot Stone Company outside Bedford. The Elliot Stone Company is doing something that no other limestone company in Indiana is doing, quarrying limestone underground. Indiana Outdoors stopped by the Elliot Stone Company to take a look at how the process works.
My name's David W. Elliott, and I'm the president of Elliot Stone Company and co-founder with my wife, and our children are coming in fast. Well, in the first place, there was an inland sea here at one time, and all the fossils, you know, went to the bottom and the tides ground it up, and that's how we got the layer of stone in the first place. The high quality that we have is because of the fineness of the grain as it had been. So we have coarse grain stone and we have fine grain stone. But it's probably the best limestone in the world. It's almost 99% pure calcium carbonate.
There are two main steps required to make the limestone you see underground into the limestone you see on a building: quarrying and milling. In traditional limestone quarrying, surface material, such as soil and undesirable rock, had to be removed before workers could even reach the desired limestone. One of the benefits of underground quarrying is that it makes this kind of overburden removal unnecessary.
That's the answer itself, that it's environmentally friendly to the people around you. They don't even know we're down here until we brought people down here that lived around, showed them what we were doing, and they become our friends, you know, instead of our adversaries. So it's really been a plus in many different ways. Well, we can work year-round, for one thing, and we've been able to keep our crew working year-round, 40 hours. See, we used to have to lay them off in November, and they'd come back in March, and that's bad for people working for you.
The saws used to cut into limestone walls are saws David Elliott designed specifically for their quarry.
There are two prototypes that we junked, but you know, you just keep improving on your prototypes, and the saws we're using now are what we go with if we build new ones. But what you see in the saws we have, nobody in the world do, from sawing from floor to ceiling 20 feet and sawing slabs right in the wall. You're the first to see that. That's never been done.
When the limestone wall has been cut into large rectangular pieces, inflatable bladders are inserted into the cuts. These bladders are filled with air, breaking the limestone away from the wall. Forklifts carry the large stones out of the quarry to be taken to the mill. After the large blocks of limestone are sawed from the underground quarry, they're brought to the mill where they're fabricated to the specifications of the buyer. For instance, limestone used for floor and patio tiles are cut into thin squares and polished, while stone used for outdoor stair-step treads are cut into thicker, long rectangular pieces with a rough, natural-looking edge. It is also at the mill that stone is cut into smaller individual pieces destined to be the exteriors of homes, commercial buildings, churches, and public buildings. In some cases, stone carvers fashion large sculptures and decorative adornments for buildings. The finished product is loaded on flatbed trucks and delivered to the customer.
There was a time back in the heyday of the limestone industry before the Depression when 2/3 of all the cut stone used for buildings in America was quarried and shipped from this little strip of land in southern Indiana that you or I could bicycle across in a day's time.
In the heyday of the limestone business, there was over 10,000 people working in just this area. It was the biggest industry in Indiana, long before General Motors even built a car. Anything we sell will go into cut stone. Now what they do with it, a lot of our business now is big homes over in the east or everywhere. 100% of it goes to the East Coast, up along the East Coast corridor. And they use it for step treads, and they use hundreds and hundreds of loads of it.
David Elliot says that at the rate they're currently quarrying, the limestone right here will last 300 or 400 years.
You know, we live in an age where so much that we see around us is throwaway, it's transient. There's something deeply appealing to me about the enduringness of stone. The material will outlast us, and the buildings, if they're well made, will outlast us. I find that deeply comforting and deeply reassuring.
There you have it, from quarrying limestone underground to creation of the final limestone product, all done right here in Indiana. Don't be surprised to find Indiana limestone wherever you travel in the United States, and even overseas. For Indiana Outdoors, I'm Don Van Meter.
We're back inside at the museum here at the Wilbur Wright birthplace, standing in front of the replica of the Wright Flyer. This is really neat.
And this is Dan Conway. And Dan, what do you do here at the museum?
Well, I volunteer here. I lead tours through the museum and talk about the airplane, and I'm on the board of directors and co-chairman of the board with Dan Bowman.
Tell us what's here.
Oh, we have a beautiful site here. We have probably the most peaceful place in Indiana, and definitely the best kept secret in the state. We have the replica house, which represents the house in which Wilbur was born 140 years ago. We have a replica of the woodshed, which set out behind it, or the smokehouse. We have a welcome center. We have an early 50s fighter plane, which is in the yard up here. We have a nice community room where we hold wedding receptions and so forth. It's really a very beautiful place. Plus, we have the Wright Flyers who come in and
this
fly
is the big attraction
absolutely.
Here, isn't it?
And they have some of the finest military style World War II era remote control model airplanes of any organization in the country. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing to watch what these young guys can do with these airplanes and how they can make them fly and do all sorts of tricks and so forth. It's amazing.
Speaking of amazing, we're standing in front of a replica of the plane that the Wright brothers actually flew. I can't believe this. Tell us a little bit about this. What it's made of.
Most people are very astonished when they come in here. They don't expect to, out here in the middle of the country, to come upon a replica as accurate as this one is. It's a beautiful thing. It's made of spruce. All of it's made of U.S. #1 spruce. It is extremely well constructed. The builder did an excellent job. In every detail, he followed the plans that were submitted to the Smithsonian by the Wright brothers. The engine even is built to run. The man built the plane to fly. most people, when they come here and they come up on this plane, they almost drop their teeth because they're not expecting to see anything nearly like this. And we're very proud of it, and we like the surprise on their faces when they walk in.
Actually, it's a little bigger than I expected before I saw it. Tell us a little bit about how they kept this thing level.
Yes.
Well, a lot of it had to do, mostly it was with the wing warping, which the Wright brothers pioneered, and they used, the pilot would lie in a cradle back here, his hips in a cradle, his feet in a stirrup for leverage, and he would shift his hips, and that would warp the wings, which today is accomplished by ailerons, all thanks to the Wright brothers figuring it all out. It would warp the wings, and that would enable the plane to keep leveled off and keep flying. And they, on December 17th, 1903, they made 4 flights. As most people are unaware, the first flight, which is in the picture, was not counted as a legal flight. That was 120 feet. But they needed to go 300 feet. It took them 4 flights to accomplish that. But when they did it, Wilbur was at the controls, and he almost tripled it. He went 852 feet in 59 seconds. And that was a great day for aviation. And in less than 66 years after that, we were on the moon. We actually had men standing on the moon.
It's a very short amount of time when you look back.
Well, the design of this airplane created some principles and concepts that are used today.
Everything that made this plane fly in 1903 is still in use today on every plane that flies, commercial plane, small plane, everything. The ailerons, which I just alluded to about the wing warping, are still on the trailing edges of the wings of all the modern airplanes, but they're hinged now rather than warping the wings. The rudder, which is at the back of the plane, is still on every plane that flies today, but it's on the vertical section of the tail. And of course the elevator, which is here on the front in this plane, now on the trailing edge of the tail, but the horizontal portion of it. And that is what enables the plane to climb or dive. It's all here. Power source, first efficient propellers, everything. It's an amazing piece of work.
And I think you told me earlier that it's a gasoline engine.
Yes, of their own design.
Of their own design. They built it.
Their master mechanic, Charlie Taylor was his name, built it in 6 weeks. Took him just 6 weeks. It weighed less than they thought it would. It generated more horsepower than they thought they needed. They thought they needed 8 horsepower. It puts out 12 horsepower.
Which you said is likened to a lawnmower these days to give someone.
Yeah, except lawnmowers are air cooled.
Even more.
Air cooling technology hadn't been developed yet. So this is actually a water cooled engine. So the whole plane altogether, when it took off, weighed, just the plane itself weighed around 605 pounds. But with a pilot, that put it up around 740 pounds. And they showed the world that it can be done.
A lot of guts, I'd have to say.
Absolutely. Everything that they did that made this plane fly has just been tweaked. They laid down the blueprint. The rest of science has engineered around it and utilized it and incorporated it.
Well, I think that is one of the other fascinating things about this museum is we all think of them for being associated with flight, but Wright brothers, they did a lot of other things too, didn't they? They were
did
truly
a number of things. But the thing that I think is fascinating about them is that they did not come from a wealthy home or any advantaged type of life. They were the sons of a minister, an itinerant minister who traveled around. They moved gobs of times. I mean, they moved a lot of times over their lives. In fact, they only lived here 3 years. Lived here about a year and a half, and Wilbur was born. They lived here another year and a half. They moved on to Hartsville. So they just kind of moved around. They wound up in Dayton. That's where Orville was born in 1871, 4 years after Wilbur. And
they were in flight their whole life, it kind of seems. But
literally.
This is a wonderful place, and we encourage folks to stop in and say hi to Dan and take a look at this great museum. Thanks for inviting us in today.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Even though we think of backpacking as a summer activity, Indiana outdoors reporter Kristen Saley went backpacking with a friend in Morgan Monroe State Forest near Martinsville. And she has some winter backpacking tips for us.
Many people consider backpacking a summer activity, but winter backpacking is popular here in Indiana. Today we're going to learn more about this cure for cabin fever.
Matt Baker is an experienced backpacker.
Indiana Outdoors has sent me to meet with him to learn more about this pastime.
Hi, Nat.
Hey, Kristen, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. Just packing the rest of my stuff up, making sure I have everything.
All right, we're ready to go.
Yep. You can bring a sleeping bag?
Got it?
Tent? Water.
Yes.
Cool. How about weather radio?
No, did you bring yours?
I did bring mine,
Great.
so we're in good shape.
Good.
Also have a compass, flashlight, GPS, you know, the stuff you don't really need, but it's nice to have.
Okay.
And I think we're ready to go. So let me zip
All
this
right.
up and we can go ahead and head to the office.
Sounds good.
Okay?
It's a good idea to check in with the office to get maps and trail conditions. If there is no office, make sure someone knows where you are in case of an emergency.
Yeah, we're going to go backpacking today.
Okay.
What do we need to do?
Go ahead and sign in here.
Okay.
I also have a hiking trail map.
Great.
It's similar to this one. You can have fires. There are no grills or anything like that. You can have fires, just be safe.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, we will.
There are numerous established trails in Indiana, and Morgan Monroe is just one of many places to go backpacking.
What about right over here?
That does look good. Yeah, let's go ahead and go over there.
All right.
Yeah, me too. This round.
Take your branches out.
Yeah, move the branches out. I think we should be in good shape.
Okay.
Okay, let's lift this up and move it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is a good site. There's really not much on the ground. It's a rather large site, which is going to make it nice when we actually do this, because we have separate cooking and dining areas, so don't have to worry about animals coming in, getting our tents, anything like that.
Okay.
We also checked overhead. There's really no dead trees or branches anywhere around. So, I mean, it's a nice site, and there's stuff on the ground, but we can put a tent on top of it. So, let's go ahead and get started.
Get it set up. Hard work setting up those tents made me hungry. Can we
Me
go make
too.
dinner?
You want to?
Yep.
Let's go do it.
All right. Little stuff.
I got it.
Okay.
Nat and I brought a lightweight, single-burner stove for boiling water.
Let this warm up a little bit, and then we'll be good to go. There's some heat too, keep you warm. Definitely nice, finally.
Be sure to bring along high-energy food and make well-balanced meals to help keep you going.
Pass me one of the crackers, please.
Sure.
Thanks.
You want to put some water on to
Definitely.
eat our pasta?
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
That sure tastes good. Give us some energy for our big day tomorrow. too.
Tomorrow, yeah, a whole other 5 miles to go before we get back to the cars.
We're gonna need that.
Can you handle that?
I think so.
Good. Good, good. Pass me one of the crackers, please.
Sure.
Thanks. You want one?
Well, before it gets too dark out, I think I might set up my bed in my tent.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
All right.
Make sure it's nice and cozy.
Hey, you know, it's kind of nice in these.
It's very nice in these
We're
steps.
gonna
Nice
sleep
and
well
roomy. There you go.
Thank you.
And yeah, the really scary thing is when you're out here, you can still get dehydrated. It's kind of scary.
It's hard
I'm
to
amazed
believe
by
that.
it, yeah. But, oh well.
So Nat, why do you like backpacking so much?
Well, it's just a chance to get away from things, time to think by myself or with my friends, and just, I like the wildlife, and even though we haven't really seen it yet, but the scenery is beautiful, so I just like that type of
Yeah, it
stuff.
Should we keep going?
I think so. Let's get this backpack on. Head out.
Winter backpacking can be fun and invigorating. It's a great way to get away from the stress of everyday life. So the next time the winter blues get you down, grab a pack and a friend and hit the trails.
Here at the Wilbur Wright birthplace, these yard signs mark the distance that the Wright brothers flew during some of their early flights. For instance, they traveled for 59 seconds and they went a distance of 852 feet.
Boy, it's a good thing they didn't give up easily. They just kept right on going, trying to break each record.
Which leads us to our next story. It's about a group of people called high pointers. Now, they travel all over the U.S., measuring the highest point in every state.
And they keep records of these high points that they visit. They write it in the logs at each high point that they visit, and they even chat on websites about their experiences.
So, guess what we went looking for?
The highest point in Indiana.
Welcome. Why don't you come with us today on Indiana Outdoors when we go to the highest point in Indiana? Sue, you got the checklist.
Got it. Gear bag number 1.
Check.
Gear bag number 2.
Check.
TV equipment.
Check.
Trekking poles.
Both of them. Map.
Map. Guidebook.
Guidebook.
Compass.
Check.
Cookies.
They're not cookies. They're fruit and cake. But we've got them. Check.
Batteries.
Check.
And now I'll get this stuff here.
Let's go. Well, here we are at Hoosier Hill in fabulous Wayne County, just a little bit of ways from Bethel, Indiana. Well, actually more in the country. We've got bean fields surrounding us and a nice setting. The approximate elevation is 1,257 feet above sea level, with what they like to say on a good day or a good year, about 200 visitors annually. Well, let's gear up and make the trek, Sue.
Let's do it.
Looks like we're that way.
Okay, great.
Oh, I need my pole. Well, I don't know about you, Sue, but I think it's time for a rest. This log looks pretty nice. Well, let's go finish it up. Now this high point is on private property, but the owner is nice enough to allow for visitors. All we gotta do is climb over this fence on a stile, which was donated by the High Pointers Club. Here we are, Hoosier Hill, the highest point in Indiana. It's got a wonderful view. So we are signing in. Now, what all do we have to do?
Well, it's really pretty simple, Paul. All we have to do is write our names down and the date. Maybe we can say hi, and that's it. A lot of people have done it.
Oh, okay, so there's notes in here.
Yes, definitely. Let's check them out.
82502, the Bergen family writes, "This makes high point number 18. Oops, 19 for us. Ohio is 18. Finding this was fun. It is much better than the long hikes. It's really cool." That's nice. Eric from Indianapolis writes, I'm just killing time while on the clock. I saw the signs and decided to check it out. Pretty weird. So what are you going to write, Sue?
Actually, I'm going to put down that this is my 5th high point.
So Indiana makes 5. Well, this is only my first.
Well, why don't you write down in that entry something for both of us, because I'm going to write a note in my journal.
Really?
Yeah, high pointers keep a note of where they've been and when they were there. Sort of a little...
A log?
A log. High pointers log. So I'm going to write that down.
Okay, well I am going to put a note from the entire Indiana Outdoors crew, and if you want to find out what we wrote, feel free to show up here at Hoosier Hill in Wayne County. It's a great trip and you'll enjoy yourself.
Well, it's time for Jill and I to fly away.
You know, I don't think we get very far in that Wright Flyer there, Don. But this is an F-84 from the Korean era, and I think it would go a little bit faster.
I think you're right, Jill. We hope you'll visit all of the sites that we visited today on the show.
Goodbye from the Wilbur Wright birthplace, and we hope you join us again next time on Indiana Outdoors. Time to buy souvenirs, Don.
I want to see that Wright Flyer again.
Okay, after you buy me something, okay?